Our next guest speaker is Jean Latiere, is a CIO and CTO advisor with international experience in consulting, sales, and business development. Jean has worked for multi-billion Fortune 500 global corporations from AWS, T-Systems, SAP, Accenture, and managed teams specialized in consulting, software development, and cloud services, IaaS, PaaS, SaaS, DaaS, business. Yes, all of those above. And the topic today is what's new and upcoming in cloud computing optimization and how it measures an environmental impact. Jean, thank you so much.
Thanks for the introduction. Thanks for the invitation. It's very fantastic to be here with you. I love this event. I love AWS Fest. Like what you're doing it's really cool. So let me share it with you. The setup here. What's driving us at OptimNow is we believe we can make a big impact and we can make it fast in the way companies are operating their cloud. And you could do it while having a positive influence on cloud sustainability. So those are the topics we are going to talk about. And there is a question right now which is about, is there life after AWS? And maybe Jessica, you can start the poll here. I'd like to ask the audience. So I will ask the audience, I'd like to interact a bit like during the presentation. And do they believe in multi-cloud? Like, is there such thing as multi-cloud? I'm asking, it's a bit joke, but at AWS, they don't talk so much about multi-cloud. Like there is really no such thing as multi-cloud. Eventually you talk about hybrid or you go full on AWS in your recommendations to customers. But generally, you don't talk of multi-cloud. And when you're going out of AWS, you realize, well, multi-cloud is here and it's going fine actually. And when you check the surveys, 90% of IT decision makers, they say that multi-cloud strategies, they are working for their enterprises. And you can see that it's everywhere, especially in large companies, it's there. And in that context of hybrid and multi-cloud strategy, containerization and Kubernetes play a crucial role in management and orchestration of applications across heterogeneous environments. And here the keyword is heterogeneous, because by nature, multi-cloud setup is heterogeneous. Like for instance, you can have an application deployed in AWS that will interact with different storage in AWS, on-prem, in Azure, in Google Cloud. And even within the same execution environment, the workload might run on different hardware like AMD, x86 processors, or AWS Graviton, or the new Intel Ice Lake processors. And that's when you're going to need a third-party solutions, because to manage that complexity, well, you need a third-party solution. You could think of open source and KubeCost. There was a great webcast the other day by AWS, and they were showcasing KubeCost. And for hybrid and multi-cloud, it's probably a bit limited. So here I'm thinking more of Cast AI, and that's because I really like the solution. I like they're doing them for more than 2 years now. Their solution keeps improving all the time, and they really help manage that complexity. First, by offering a view across all your clusters, all your Kubernetes clusters, you have a single view on your cloud cost. So you can see actually your burn rate at a glance. Also, you have recommendations for the right sizing. Also evaluates the fitness of your workload for Spot. So John had started talking a bit about Spot, and there were people talking about Spot in the chat. And here with Cast AI, there is automatic evaluation of your workload if it's fit for Spot and not fit for Spot. It does it automatically, and it saves you so much time instead of yourself like going through all the workloads to check their fitness. But the best is the automation of resource provisioning with EKS. manages the scaling up and down, in and out, with better performance, actually. It automatically rebalances, replaces suboptimal nodes with new ones. So here showing some data, but when you bring Cast AI in, you can see examples showing like how you can better adhere to the requirements of your workload. You eliminate the waste, all that over provisioning that is happening. So the waste that Eric was talking about in the previous conversation, and that saves you a lot of money. What you're going to see is that there are so many ways to actually so many opportunities to optimize your workloads. You don't need to constrain yourself to AWS services. And believe me, I was a compute specialist at AWS. I know quite well what ESG or AWS Patch can do when combined with Spot. But really, when you start like checking some companies, and like for example, I was totally amazed when I came across MemVerge and a unique patented technology called App Capsule. It's a unique snapshot technology able to coordinate data in memory and data in the storage volume. So maybe here, Jessica, you can share the link in the chat for MemVerge. I will explain, but yeah, you capture all the data at once, and you can successfully migrate from one VM to another VM during the runtime of your workload. So you monitor in real time the CPU and memory usage of your VM with MemVerge, and you scale up and or down without interrupting the workload. There are two services behind called Spot Surfer for high availability spot, and Wave Rider that scales up or down during the runtime. And when you combine both, you have the perfect solution to optimize HPC, high performance computing, and high throughput computing workloads, such as, for example, genomics or molecular simulation. The performance, it's better, it's way better. Here I'm showing I'm sharing some data points, but yeah, 30% more performant, 90% cheaper. And also it's working on AWS, but I heard that soon it's going to work on GCP. So it's going to be truly multi-cloud, and you can abstract yourself actually from the computing environment of AWS and GCP, and you can run your workload directly in MemVerge machine, and that's actually awesome. And here, yeah, what does it say? It's the best moment to go green. Because here I'm going to launch another poll, and I'm going to ask here the audience, what do they think of AWS and cloud sustainability? Do they think that they are doing enough or not? In my opinion, you need to check. Well, sorry about that. Need to go one slide before. I don't know how to do it. Yeah, you need to check what's available today in the dashboard, in the carbon calculator, in the carbon footprint calculator dashboard, and you need to compare it with what you need to make a correct assessment of the environmental impact of your cloud. And you find that there are important things that are missing. So today in the dashboard, you have the scope 1 and 3 emissions. There are the emissions that are about the energy, the power needed to operate the data center, to run the machines on which your workloads are running. But the scope 3 is missing, and the scope 3 is quite big. It's about the embedded emissions. So the emissions related to building the data center, to manufacturing the servers, manufacturing the components of the servers, sourcing the material, and also end of life. So disposal of the data center, disposal of the servers and components. And that scope 3, it's evaluated that it's, when checking with competition and other data centers, it's about 70% of the total footprint. Then you want to have data that does not take into account the credits that were purchased by Amazon to offset their footprint. So they purchase credits on the carbon markets, but that's not the data that you want. to monitor your carbon footprint. You want what is called the local-based data, not the market-based data. And you want granularity, and you want also data in real time. You don't want to wait 3 months to get this data. So if you're really serious about evaluating the environmental impact of your workloads, you want to go for a third-party solution. In my opinion, the best one is Boa Vista. It's open source solution. It's free. A team of contributors who did a fantastic job at evaluating the scope 3 per instance, per component in the instance. So you really have the right granularity. You can have it in real time, meaning that you can make some adjustments. You can change some your workloads, like your settings, and you can see in real time how it's impacting the carbon footprint of your workload. It's really cool. It's called Cloud Scanner. I will share, if we can share also the link to it. It's really great. And here with this tool, you can start implementing what is called GreenOps, which is emerging, and it's a bit like FinOps is for financial optimization of your cloud. GreenOps, it's to optimize the carbon footprint of the workloads running on the cloud, and amazing things that you can do today with Green. And also now talking about the elephant in the room, generative AI and the impact it's going to have on cloud operations. Maybe we can launch another poll here on what you think generative AI is going to impact cloud operations. But we can already see a couple of use cases, GPT for infrastructure as code. So we share the paper on our site, sharing a chatbot and sharing like a study doing a generation of ISE script, a Terraform script with natural language processing. We also like investigated ourselves a chatbot because we saw some studies, for example, in other verticals, polling patients and comparing patients to physicians. They say that 79% of patients, they prefer AI answers to questions than to doctors, physicians' answers. Not only they think they are of higher quality, but they think they are more empathetic. So patients, they think that AI is more empathetic than physicians or doctors. So it's amazing. So started building ourselves our GPT. Yeah, we had like various ways to do it. We did some prompt engineering with GPT 3.5 Turbo. It's doing pretty good job. You can try it. You can go on our site. It's called the OptimNow GPT Alpha. It's here. You can ask it some questions about what is GreenOps.
So, Jean, I got to jump in there because I got to ask you a couple of questions before we
Yeah.
wrap things up before the next one. I apologize. Can you drop that link into the chat? Jean, one of the questions that came from the audience is generative AI going to play a role not only with FinOps, but with GreenOps?
Yeah, first you need the data, and you need to agree on. First, you need the data, and you need to agree on the standards and how to actually compute the scope 1, scope 2, scope 3. And you can already see that you can build some models for energy efficiency and how you can be better energy efficient for your workloads. And then you can pick regions, something that I've not shared but discussed, but you can pick the regions with the least carbon intensive energy mix at the time of the day. And there are solutions, for example, Cyclone, made by a solution architect at AWS. Cyclone distributes batch and HPC jobs across regions according to the regions that have the lowest carbon intensity. And then you can anticipate, and there are some services telling you, in 12 hours, this is the region where you are going to have the carbon intensity, the lowest carbon intensity, and you should pick that region. So yes, definitely it's going to happen the same way it's happening now with FinOps, just like Eric was sharing.
Nice. I like that. I'm going to actually go over to my event polls. There's a couple on the list. Do you think, so here's a good poll that was actually presented. Do you think generative AI is going to change the way you manage your AWS cloud resources? We have not really, yes, but marginally and a deep impact. Jean, it looks like the generative AI is going to play a deep impact with a 41%. And whilst people still are unsure about generative AI, it's about a 35% of not really. What is
Okay.
your take on this?
So it caught us by surprise when GPT, like when it emerged late last year, and we were all a bit skeptical when we first saw it because I remember when I first tried it, I tried to do 2 plus 2, and the thing was replying like whatever, and I was saying 2 plus 2 equal 5. It was saying, oh, okay, sorry, 2 plus 2 equal 5. You cannot do this anymore with GPT-4. You can only imagine like what GPT-5 is going to do in terms of like capabilities. Yeah, it's impacting all verticals, everything. It's going to, if you start spending some time and you see how the progress it makes every day, yeah, you're going to change your mind about it.